As a doctor or a healthcare physician, you will not use the word incurable anymore. First of all, thank you for this, and thank you for hosting me. Special thanks to Shaista as well. She's always inspiring. And I want to also disagree. She didn't present, it's not like Steve Jobs. What she presented something more kind of out of the ordinary when it comes to having the health as a priority. So thank you. Before speaking about cancer and autoimmune disease, I want to set the mood first, right? It's like you got us Raqam who played beautiful music, you did a meditation. So before speaking about stem cells and their role in cancer, I would like to speak about what is stem cells, right? So when you have cells that have the ability to renew, self-renew, duplicate, and give new cells, this is number one, and regenerate. And you have all of these tiny little things in our bodies that can be activated as our own heroes when needed. So here we need to concentrate on this potential first, because laying the foundation about stem cells is very important to people. Then going forward to a bit of history, when we speak about cancer treatment, a group in Seattle in the late 1950s succeeded in doing a bone marrow transplant for a leukemia patient. So this is 1950s. And they used stem cells, a special kind of stem cells called hematopoietic stem cells. What does it mean? Stem cells that originate from the bone marrow, meaning that our factory within our body that makes our red blood cells or WBCs, which fight infection, or platelets, they can be resetted and rebooted to make new cells in a different person. Going to the success of this treatment, and let's understand the language we use. We use intention to cure, yeah? We use the word cure here, intention to cure, using stem cell treatment. And this is where knowledge, awareness needs to be propagated through experts in this field, because we all know that science outpaces policies in every setup, yeah? So we need to, when we speak about cancer, I can tell you more than 50 applications of hematopoietic or blood stem cells in leukemias, lymphomas, multiple myelomas, and so on. And then you go to the stem cells that can be deployed into cancer gene therapy, so where you can get the stem cells activated in certain genes to treat certain diseases. And then you want to go up a notch and speak about more advanced kind of treatment using stem cells and genetic manipulation called CAR-T. And I always say CAR-T, and people would say, of course, for the lay person, CAR-T, what is CAR-T? It's basically, it's harnessing the body owns immune cell and taking them, genetically reversing it, putting a special GPS to go and target the cancer cells in the body. And this is an approved treatment since 2017 for acute leukemias. So this is when it comes to cancer cells. Of course, autoimmune, when you have your immune system go haywire, a lot of things, a lot of noise happening in the system. This is where you want to calm your system down and go to a process called immune modulation. Again, the deployment of stem cell transplant. I would give you an example in Abu Dhabi Stem Cell Center, where we did our first bone marrow transplant for multiple sclerosis in November 2022 with beautiful results. So these are the two things that we can treat stem cells with.
Thank you for the history lesson. So stem cells have been being used to treat disease for the past 80-odd years. But tell us about the most promising applications of stem cells in regenerative medicine and how they're transforming healthcare now and into the future.
So, okay, I would like to speak about something that is very close to my heart when it comes to regenerative medicine. Because in schools, we didn't study about regenerative medicine. We studied the very basic I would say the conventional treatment using either chemotherapy or either certain drugs to treat disease. So In 2006, a group of people in Kyoto University, headed by Dr. Yamanaka, discovered something called iPSCs. What does that mean? They basically took a cell, let's say a skin cell, from a human, and they were able to induce it and reprogram it to its original cell. So they reset it to act like an embryonic cell, and then with a special genetic kind of portion to it, it can potentially be any cell in the body. So what I'm saying here, each one of us here, we have our own iPSCC line. Imagine we take each one iPSCC line, let's call it our magic own cells, and we store it, and we deprogram it, and we reset it. Once needed, God forbid, we have a disease, how can I use the iPSCC cells to regenerate my liver, or regenerate my heart, or regenerate my kidney? They took the Nobel Prize in 2016, and we are proud to say that we opened our lab, ADSCC lab in Kyoto, with the group, which we'll be announcing very soon.
Dr. Fatima. And speaking of successes, Dr. Fatima had a recent achievement. She manufactured the UAE's first CART cells, and Dr. Fatima touched on the CART cells in her first answer, but this is when a patient's own cells are engineered to hunt and kill disease. So congratulations on that, Dr. Fatima.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about CART cell therapy and how it's changing cancer treatments and what challenges it may pose in terms of safety and effectiveness into the future.
If you will allow me, before speaking about this, I want to speak about Murad.
Do you notice every time I ask Dr. Fatima a question, she answers with, first I would like to speak about something else. Go ahead.
So Murad is the boy that we gave him the CAR-T therapy, and saying that I'm behind a team that makes me look good on a stage. So this is a collective effort of, do you see what Ayman did in the bridge, the picture that he put? It's a collective effort from a team in ADSCC and outside ADSCC and in certain places of the world that made it happen. So for the past 2 years, so CAR-T therapy is basically a treatment that is so expensive. I challenge people who speak about accessibility and affordability to tell me, the manufacturers, how can they give this treatment. This treatment has a tag price of $500,000, $500,000 to treat leukemia. Who can afford this? I don't know. Who can afford it? So saying that, this is basically, so Murad, he had, 5 years ago, had an aggressive leukemia where he was treated with chemotherapy. He has a lovely sister, very supportive parents. He got treated, and then 5 years later, unfortunately, the cancer came back. When it came back, it was more aggressive. So they were giving it chemotherapy. They were treating it with things, but he wasn't responding. And it was a great team at Sheikh Khalifa Medical City, SKMC, who did that. And for the past 2 years, we've been in the news validating our CAR-T that we can manufacture these cells and we can use them. And we wanted also to be starting clinical trials in the UAE. So we got a call from his physician and said, listen, guys, can you do it? There's nothing left. He's not doing well. His temperature is not going down. His blast, which is the nasty cells that we don't want to see, is going up. So we said, of course, but we need to also discuss all the issues. And because this is the first time we are going to give this treatment, so there is a risk. There is also some sort of side effects. There is all of these things that we need to lay ahead, with the help of also of the regulation. So we had a committee with the Department of Health, and because it was a time-sensitive thing, we decided to go ahead with the agreement of the parents. And a parent signing that the child might die is not something simple or not something pleasant. And I hope nobody is put in this place to make these decisions. So we decided to take the challenge and take the case, not as a case, as we took it because of Murad, the boy, who loves football, who wants to, live his life, who wants to be with his sister. So we took the challenge and we treated Murad, and thank God that after 30 days, we repeated the bone marrow. He's cancer-free. And this is a moment that we all need to appreciate. Everyone is asking me how much it costs. I cannot say it because for now, we're working very closely with the government and the Department of Health to make it, how can we make this treatment accessible to all? So this is the story of Murad and the CAR-T.
It's really remarkable what you've done there. And tell us a bit more about the main challenges in scaling stem cell therapies to make them more accessible to the wider population. We've discussed the expense. What else is involved?
Sure, and I'm mindful of the time, so I'm going to...
Take your time, Dr. Fatima.
So when it comes to stem cells, first of all, we need to all agree on one thing. Safety is a key. So we do not mingle with safety. So a safety of a product, quality assurance, having the right setup of regulation, policy sets is a key for any successful, not only stem cells, any treatment that we have. And we've been following this road. The other things is how to make this more and more kind of accessible is to run our own clinical trials, which we are doing, to validate, to get partnership from people who've done this before. We do not claim, and if anyone claims, even in the biggest, highest research center, that they can do it alone, I can challenge this by multiple means. But saying that, the key, the ingredient of it is having the right mindset, the right vision, the right policies, and the right validation process to make it happen. And we shouldn't create our own boundaries. We shouldn't, lock ourselves in compartments, not thinking outside the box. Elements of curiosity needs to be there. Elements of imagination needs to be there with certain sandbox boundaries that make these treatments accessible and happening for our people here.
And just going back to patient safety, it's a fine balance when you're trying to treat new therapies and discover new treatments with ensuring patient safety. How exactly do you manage this?
So balancing safety, let me give you an example of radiotherapy. One of the nastiest treatments we give patients, right? All kind of side effects. Chemotherapy, all kind of. Ensuring safety 100% is something of a myth for the time being, I would say. But at least we need to have a proper kind of ethical committee and science-based driven data that tells me that this treatment for this patient is not gonna cause the harm that is there. Or we always put it this way: if there is a benefit that outweighs the risk, then we go ahead.
I know we're short on time, but two quick more questions. Let's talk about translational medicine and how emerging trends and technologies can help with translational medicine. What are your thoughts?
Translational medicine is always taking your product, fast-tracking it to the patient rather than waiting for bureaucracies of pharmaceuticals or other kind of companies to halt this kind of treatment. I would encourage everyone to read an article about a patent cliff, is where they don't bring a drug until the other drug had made its profit in the market. So translational medicine is about taking all this away and making it seamless and creating an ecosystem. And I'm glad as part of Pure Health as well, we've been able to do this by having a research and development center with an ecosystem, where a hospital where you can apply this in a closed system with the blessing and the regulation oversight of it. So translational medicine, you have a lot of obstacles in the middle. The key is unlocking each one with the right regulation, partnership, vision, and also the right team. So you need to create the right team to create the product that you want for your population that saves and caters for their needs. going back to personalized medicine. Fatma needs something different. Shamma needs something different. So we need to make sure that personalized medicine is a key here to, give our treatment to the right people, to the right cell, to the right genetic profile.
And just to summarize and to end, I wish we could chat for the rest of the afternoon. This topic deserves more time. But tell us a little bit about the future of healthcare with the emerging use of stem cells and your forecast.
Okay. I think I would like to have the audience imagination in this. So,
who would like to contribute from the audience? We're putting you on the spot here. You could stand up if you'd like. Yes, Miss in the second row, wearing white. Please go ahead.
Imagine. You want to imagine. Imagine that there is you will not, as a doctor or a healthcare physician, you will not use the word incurable anymore. That's a good imagination, yes? Imagine that there is no waiting list for organ transplant. There is a 3D bioprinting, there is all of this. Imagine, and it's not a far-sighted future, imagine that instead of being reactive, building ICUs, building all of this, we are proactive, working on prevention, knowing what will happen before it's happening, deploying artificial intelligence, deploying super intelligence, as Shaista says. So imagine this is the word that we aim for. So this is how I see it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fatima, for pointing to a brighter future for all of us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.